Okay, so time to
Hello,
get
Craig.
political a little bit more in our freaking content.
Us? No, we would never.
Uh, have you seen some of the cabinet picks in the last week or the last couple of
Yeah,
days?
yeah. Yep. I mean, Musk was the early obvious one, but then Matt Gates is, I think, the biggest like scandal. But the Fox News hosts. Oh, I've
Uh,
seen at least some of them.
have
Um,
you seen the one today?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, there's two of them today actually that I've seen. Dr. Oz.
Oh my fucking god!
Okay,
Really?
okay. What?
Really?
What? I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
I believe you. I don't like it, but I believe you.
What is he heading, or is being proposed to head?
Um. Honestly, it could go a couple of ways. There's the like it still with massive sarcasm quotes, but like you know, um, like Fauci's position. Like what was that? Is to see the I don't know what all of the cabinet positions are. Something to do with like health. You know, like that's like the serious but still so sarcastic because of how like bullshit and scammy Dr. Oz
Well,
is.
Fauci was chief medical advisor to the president.
Okay,
No, not that.
okay.
So,
Hang on. Let me look at the U.S. cabinet positions without cheating. Let's see. Because like some I know, like Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, like those are obvious. Secretary of the Treasury. Okay. Secretary of State, Treasury, Defense, Attorney General, Secretary of the Interior, Agriculture, Commerce, Labor, Health and Human Services. Is it that one?
I'm going to give it to you because uh, picked as Centers for Medicare and Services and Medicaid Services Administrator. So, not really a cabinet pick, but bad enough, right?
Yeah. Like a major
Dr. Oz
administration
picked as
appointee.
Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator. Oh, right.
Yeah, he's maybe, maybe one level below fucking uh oh my god. Infowars guy. How can I not remember his name?
Oh, it doesn't matter because he's a forgettable man anyway,
That's
with a
true, but he
forgettable face. Oh, did you ever read the Onion's news letter for that or
I,
press release?
I did. Yeah. Um yeah. Alex Jones, that's his name. It came to me. He
No,
Dr.
forgettable man.
Oz, yeah, right. Dr. Oz is like one level below Alex Jones. Cuz all Dr. Oz does is like peddle shit to people. Gullible or
Basically, Bill
scared or
Oprah.
elderly people. Yeah, but he's not, at least like on his show, he doesn't look like he's as batshit crazy as Alex Jones was, even though he is extremely crazy. Like he's a right wing nut job grifter, but he looks more presentable than Alex Jones. So he's like one notch below Alex Jones.
Okay, so the other one that popped up today. Uh, do you want the department or the person?
Give me the person.
Linda McMahon.
Who? Say that again.
Linda McMahon. You might know her husband Vince.
Oh my god, for real?
I'm not joking.
Like I don't know. Like as soon as you said McMahon, I was like the wrestler guy, but I couldn't think of his name because I'm not like a wrestling. I'm
I
not a
haven't
wrestle
watched
boy.
wrestling in since the Attitude Era,
Yeah.
and that's like two or three eras ago now. But yeah, his wife.
What does she even do? Like, what does she like? I'm guessing she doesn't have any political experience.
You would be wrong on that one.
Really? I'm sure what she's done is not good if Trump has picked her. But what does she even do? Are you having fun? Is this making it bearable for you? Am hearing my
Yeah,
live shock?
yes, yes, yes.
Happy to
Live
help.
shock.
Love you, buddy. Happy to help. But for
Oh,
real, what does she even do?
do you want to know what she's been tapped for?
Yes.
Education secretary.
What the fuck? Does she have a background in education? Like, does she have any qualification at all? I mean, I'm guessing the answer to that question is no, but still.
Let's see. I'm double checking. Let's see. She ran twice for the U.S. Senate seat in Connecticut, but
Oh
lost
my god.
both times. She did serve on the Connecticut Board of Education for a year, starting in 2009. She told lawmakers at the time that she had a lifelong interest in education and once planned to become a teacher. So there's something there. I mean, it's better than Dr. Oz, right?
Yeah, but
But
still, this is
but yeah,
awful.
but still, yeah, complete, yeah, outside the realm of education, you know.
Yeah,
But let's put it this way: she has expressed support of charter schools and school choice,
awful.
and school choice is one of those things that sounds like a really nice wrapper on a shitty idea because it basically is. Uh, segregation is a strong term for it because it conjures up the idea of racial segregation, which, let's be honest, is possibly part of it. But it's more separating out the rich kids from the poor kids even further.
Yeah. In principle, I don't have a major issue with like private schools. But the
They
thing
shouldn't be
is
tax
it's
funded.
exactly number one, they shouldn't be tax funded, and number two, I feel like they should have even stricter scrutiny on them than public school. Like
Hmm.
I also don't have a problem with homeschooling, but it's like again, you have to like it has to be regulated because homeschooling in so many places is completely unregulated.
Yeah,
I do think,
basically, if the kid could submit a packet of work, it's there you go.
yeah, like in practice, especially following like COVID, and seeing that like kids could do school at home. Um, like I think if it was better regulated, I think in theory and practice it could be a really good option for a lot of people, a lot of circumstances, a lot of children. But it's so unregulated, like it can be very dangerous.
Especially whenever you get ideologies using homeschooling as basically indoctrinating their children.
Yeah. Yep. If there was some kind of like, and certain states do this better than others. Like even Tennessee has got
Hmm.
like an official sort of homeschool curriculum. The problem is you have a choice whether of like to not follow it and go with like the private route or the like religious homeschool route. And it's like, no, this is not education. Like if you follow the curriculum and the standard and then submit to like the state, stuff, like I think that's fine. I don't know. Like that seems okay to me.
Hmm.
But we've looked into homeschooling king, um combination of like our weird schedules and like our whole weird life and everything. So like we looked at the curriculum and everything, and we think we might try it out, but we're not just gonna like go about like, okay, let's go to the church co-op and like write your education off that way. Like
Hmm.
we're like, if we do it, we're gonna take like a serious like vested interest and go with one of the follow the state curriculum and go with one of the programs that exist to help make sure that you've got resources that you need and actual connections to real teachers and stuff like that. But just the whole willy nilly, like, yes, we're gonna send you to whatever, to the local church group. It's like, okay, that's nah, dog. As the kids once long ago said, this ain't it, Chief.
That's
How
a
the
negative Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. Yeah, I'm looking at the the staffing nominations, and there's some big ones that are still not decided yet, which is troubling. Well, this one hasn't been updated with McManus education, but uh, probably the big one is going to be Surgeon General. That's going to be fun, or the CDC.
Yeah. Not looking forward to those. Not looking forward to any of these. This all sucks hardcore. I have a new
Yeah,
level.
Biden has successfully uh, Ruth Bader Ginsburg his legacy.
Yep.
I know it's not the completely uh the his yeah yeah him running again wasn't the only thing that doomed the Democrats on this, but definitely didn't help.
Yeah. Did you watch that video I sent you in chat the other day?
No, I didn't get a chance to.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, you don't have to. Like I said, it was a little bit cathartic. Like I already like kind of knew all the answers, but to see someone that I
Hmm.
have watched their content for a while, like yell about people being assholes and
Yeah,
dipshit,
can
made
you
me
give me
feel
the
good
Cliff
for a
Notes
minute.
version since we are? Yeah, do you have Craig out?
Yeah. So, the video is from the YouTuber Steve Shives, and he does like a mix of content. I originally started watching him for some of his Star Trek stuff. But I mean, he does all kinds of content. His Star Trek stuff and his like political, it's not really satire. He had this series that he did for a while called The Quiet Part Out Loud, and he would be like, if Republicans said the quiet part out loud about education or about the military or whatever, um, and he yesterday or a couple of days ago posted a video called "Whose Fault Was It?" And it was like a conversation going through all of the different kind of mudslinging that's been done of like you know everybody's blaming everybody, like let's talk about whose fault it really was. And basically it comes down to like everybody fucked up to a certain degree, because he mostly blames the party proper, because it's like ultimately they're the ones who run the candidates and decide the messages that the candidates by and large um, give to the voter base.
They're so indebted to the Obama and Clinton eras that they're clinging to those, right?
Yep. But also he's like, people who didn't vote like also kind of suck. Like there were something like 10 million, it's like somewhere between like 7 and 10 million people that voted in the last election that did not vote in this one. And he's like, if you people had just voted, he's like, I can't be too mad at you because again, like I've said, the party ran awful candidates, or the messages that they ran, didn't like gave you plenty of reasons to not vote for them. But also, like, if you had just voted, then we wouldn't be in this position. But
Well, isn't essentially no choice is the winner of pretty much every election for the last 100 some years?
what do you mean? Isn't no choice the winner?
Basically, the non-voters vastly outstrip both parties.
Um, I don't know. I don't know how many eligible he says in the video. I think he says there's like 200 million eligible voters in the U.S. 200 something million, and there were 140-ish million people who voted this election and in the last election. So that might have used to have been the case. I'm not sure on
Okay,
the data on that one.
66% of eligible population turned out for 2020, but 2020 is also a weird year where it was so much easier to vote.
Uh-huh.
And it should be easier to vote.
Uh-huh.
There are guardrails in place for to catch fraud.
I mean, I think
You shouldn't have to have a special excuse to be able to get an absentee ballot. At least in my state, you have to.
you still do Tennessee also. 2020 was the only time in my life that you could just get an absentee ballot. You could just request one because of COVID.
Hmm.
I looked this year. I wanted to just vote absentee, but it was not allowed. And there were even tighter restrictions on it than there were in previous years. Like they really like tightened up, making it harder for people to vote absentee.
Oh, of course, because yeah, if people can vote easier, right?
Yeah. Yep. You're right. You're right. But what was I gonna say? My brain took a left turn. Um. Oh, it was. But I mean, that's the gist of it. Like it's mostly the party, but also people who didn't vote, who this time, who voted last time, and then also people who just didn't vote.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the West Virginia one. So you have to choose one of these, otherwise, I don't think they'll uh, they'll give you one. So
Yeah.
illness, injury, or medical reason which keeps me confined, immobility due to advanced age or physical disability, incarceration or detention in jail or home. I am not under conviction of any felony of treason or of bribery of an elected, in an election, including any period of probation or parole. Employment which, because of hours worked, a distance from the county seat makes voting impossible. I'm a participant in the Address Confidentially Program, ACP, with the Office of Secretary of State. If selected, send your application to the Secretary of State's office. The county early voting office and my polling place are inaccessible to me due to physical disability. I'm not sure how that's different from the previous physical disability one, but okay, right?
Yep.
Personal
It,
business or travel. If selected, your ballot must be mailed outside of your county of residence. Attending college, university, or other place of education or training. If selected, your ballot must be mailed outside of your county of residence. Temporarily living outside a county due to serving as an elected or appointed federal or state officer. If selected, your ballot must be mailed outside county of residence. Temporarily living outside the county due to a temporary assignment by my employer for a specific period of 4 years or less. And once again, it must be mailed outside the county of residence. I'm applying for an electronic absentee ballot due to physical disability that prevents me from voting in person and in mail absentee voting. I'm a first responder applying for an electronic absentee ballot due to being called away on duty to respond to an emergency outside my county or residence, which prevents me from voting in person and mail absentee voting. That is it.
yeah.
But so half of them are if you're outside the county for either work or education, and then if you are too old or crippled, and that's pretty much it. Or you're incarcerated, but it's not a felony. It's not a felony.
That is the same as mine, more or less. Unless you're incarcerated, period. Even if you are not incarcerated for a felony, you still can't vote absentee. And yeah, it feels odd to me that they put disability so many times on there.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe there's some kind of weird legal reason for it that I don't understand. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to necessarily like bitch about that if it's like just weird kind of legal mumbo jumbo you have to do. That's kind of silly in my opinion, but I understand legalese, like whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's more or less the same as mine. And then you can get on what's called the permanent absentee list in Tennessee, which is which is like you don't have to submit for a disability ballot every year. You get a permanent disability status. And I'm not sure how that's different from like being a disabled person, but like it reads as something different that a doctor fills out a different kind of form that denotes that you are permanently disabled
Mm-hmm.
and therefore are on the permanent absentee ballot list. So, whatever that means. So, yeah. But there used to be a few extra ones. Or the wording was a little less restrictive because the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing about you have to mail it from a county outside of your whatever, like, I don't remember that being there in previous years when I've looked, and it's in our language for this as well. And then I just can't remember. I know that there were other ones in the past, or at least my brain is telling me it knows that there were other ones in the past, but I think the form was different this year too. Let's look at the form rather than just the full list. Zoom in. Oh, this was new. You may be eligible for a reward of up to $1,000 if you make a report of voter fraud that leads to a conviction. Call
Mm-hmm.
the state election coordinator's voter fraud hotline at phone number to report voter fraud.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm a little leery of bounty laws, especially since we've seen what Texas does with them.
Yeah, I'm also leery of bounty laws.
Oh, did you see the Texas is being Texas?
No. What are they being Texas about?
Oh, let's see if I can find it again because I pissed Anita off the other day reading these. It was kind of okay. So this is a person's personal blog, or But so a little bit of bias here.
Okay.
However, they're not wrong. All right, so the headline of this is Republicans file 32 anti trans bills on the first day in Texas. So this was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. And this was the first day of pre filing bills for the 2025 legislative session in Texas.
Okay.
And holy shit, did they come out swinging. Let's see. House Bill 1123 would impose stricter laws on sports by requiring every athlete in the state to undergo chromosome testing. Right?
What the fuck?
An invasive and costly procedure that could wreak havoc on high school and college athletes. Once again, I know this is biased, but many people are unaware that they have atypical chromosomes, making the requirement particularly problematic. A similar guideline was used in the '96 Olympics, where mandatory chromosomal testing of female athletes revealed that 8 women had XY chromosomes without knowing it, due to unknown intersex conditions. The discovery led to widespread backlash as intersex athletes faced threats of removal and emotional toil of learning their genetic status. Chromosomal testing was subsequently discontinued and deemed deeply violating, unfair, and unworkable as a standard. But not in Texas.
If I remember correctly, and like this is something that like could have been
Mm-hmm.
updated or changed or further research revealed, whatever's. But I believe there are 8 common, like in the broad scope of things, like common chromosome uh mutations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I mean, everybody kind of knows about, obviously there's the XX and XY that form up the, quote unquote genetic cis standard male and female, but there's XXY and XYY and double Y chromosomes. And like, some of these are like way more rare than others,
Mm-hmm.
but like, they're common enough. It's like there's 8 types of chromosomes. I remember like this from like school from like 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah,
So
so who knows how it's been updated.
right.
So
But it's like,
here's the wording from the bill. All right. A student may not compete in interscholastic athletic competition designated for a particular biological sex if the student's chromosomal sex does not match the biological sex assigned at birth as described in subsection A. This determination shall not be based on clinical evidence. Oh, sorry, shall be based on clinical evidence, including genetic testing, results provided by a licensed medical professional under section 33 point 098. So yeah, so if you have one of these conditions that it's just your chromosomes are a little fucked up, but yeah, otherwise you're fine. Guess what, right?
yeah. I mean, this is going to be awful for all of the athletes if it passes, and it's Texas. So honestly, I expect it will. But, I
Or
still
some
have to
version
say,
of it.
yeah, this is going to be awful for the students. But the silver lining, I can't wait for some of these like conservative dipshit parents to get hit with a dose of science reality when they're kids who otherwise are like cis, straight male or female kids, like because they have chromosomal abnormalities, get kicked from sports for being, quote unquote trans or whatever,
Uh huh.
and them being so mad about it.
Mm-hmm. So do
Like
you
I
want
feel
another
awful
one?
for the kids. Like these kids get, they're getting fucked either way. But, I can at least like relish in like the side, the fringe irony of the parents getting like screwed and being pissed about it. But yeah, sorry, carry on. You said another one? Go on.
Yeah. Oh, I have one, two, three, four more just on this one blog post.
Okay.
So let's see. How about since we mentioned bounty bills, the bounty bill, or at least the one that's highlighted in this particular article, House Bill 239. Uh, this would be a sweeping measure that would prevent transgender people from use of bathrooms.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much any any publicly owned building in Texas, transgender people cannot use the bathroom. Full stop.
Sure. Of course. Oh, speaking of trans people bathroom bills, did you see the thing in the uh United States House? Somebody bitching because there's a, well, not somebody, like the usual suspects bitching because there's an openly trans woman that was elected to Congress this election cycle. She's the first openly trans person to be elected to any sort of federal like level position
Yeah.
like that. And of course, they have lost their goddamn minds.
Oh, well, I'm not even done on this one.
Right, carry on. I didn't like. I don't know a ton about this story yet. Just like I
Okay,
saw.
so this sweeping measure wouldn't stop at the Texas State Capitol or courthouses. It extends to park bathrooms, rest stops, schools, state-run hospitals, and even major airports like Dallas-Fort Worth. All right.
Okay.
So, if you're a trans person coming into Texas, oh boy, right?
Right.
You better hope to have a bladder of steel. But Texas also added a provision to this, making a bathroom bounty law out of it, which allows cisgender individuals to sue transgender people for using the restroom, promising a minimum $10,000 payout for successful claims. Because it works so
Wow.
well for the abortion ban. You okay over there?
I have just like an awful like expression on my face. I mean, yeah, I'm okay, but so stupid. Again, silver lining. Can't wait for people to like post funny Reddit, posts of like the weird shit that they send into the bounty
Mm-hmm.
website, or recordings of them calling into the hotline.
Yeah, so since we're on bounties, how about another one?
Go on.
So House Bill 1075 would allow any individual performing in drag to be sued for $5,000. So sued for a $5,000 bounty.
Sure. Why not?
Now, the fun part is the bill's definition of drag and perform is alarmingly broad and labeling anybody exhibiting a gender that is different from the performer's gender recorded at birth using clothing, makeup, or other physical markers as being in drag. So, does that mean a woman in pants?
Maybe.
I mean, if you go that broad, some a person wearing hell, I'm just thinking of anime convention in Texas now. A person doing a gender flipped character that technically would be drag now.
And I mean, anybody who is an actor or an actress filming on set,
Mm-hmm.
on location in Texas, you know, like you wear makeup. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
wears makeup when they're filming.
Oh, especially their Orange Julius.
Hey,
Oh,
so
but
yeah,
here, okay, so uh, Montana has a similar drag ban, and the first person targeted wasn't a drag performer, but a transgender public speaker discussing transgender history at a library.
well, sure, okay, of course they were.
Hmm. And they also mentioned that this would uh, additionally would likely force the cancellation of pretty much any Pride parade across Texas, but that's not a bug. That's a feature.
Right.
Let's see. Senate Bill 86 would require parental permission for high school students to join a gay straight alliance or any club that, quote, promotes themes of sexual, gender, or gender identity. It goes
I
right.
see. I'm making a face like, oh, I can't
Party of
imagine
small
living in
government.
Texas. Yeah, the party of small government. I can't imagine living in Texas. Generally speaking, I've never like seriously considered living in Texas. I visited a couple of times because I used to have family who lived there. And like Texas was fine by my, estimation, but like boy howdy. Never in a million years would I want to go to Texas these days.
And let's see. I think there's one more on here. So Senate Bill 84 mandates government documents classify individuals based on their biological reproductive system, dividing female as an individual whose biological reproductive system is developed to produce ova. So basically, stripping all transgender identity out of state documents.
Sure, but what does that
Bill,
do to like cisgender women who, for various medical reasons, can't produce ovi, ovum, ovi? I guess it's the plural of
OVA.
ovum. Yeah, ova. Sure. Anyways, what does that do to cisgender women who can't produce ova?
Well, fuck them.
Right?
Vance
They don't
already
deserve
said
rights, anyways, right?
that. Yeah, if you can't push out a few dozen kids, you're not worth it to them.
I hope JD Vance's wife divorces him. That would be hilarious. Since she's is it Indian? Where is what is her nationality?
Yeah, yeah. What did he say? She's brown, but I love her, or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically. It was gross, which is, not hard to do for them, but I do remember it being something gross. I can't, like this is I don't know how much of these things, how much of this is real versus memes versus people
Hmm.
just kind of like I don't want to say just like bitching online, but like, you see things of people, being like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna, not gonna get married. I'm not gonna, you know, have sex with men. I'm not gonna like, I'm gonna divorce my partner or whatever. Like, I don't know how much of that is real versus isn't, but there are plenty of people who, say those things that I wasn't seeing before. I can't imagine being married or in a serious relationship to somebody who votes for those things, who like
Hmm.
believes like, you know, don't love or respect you enough as a person to be like, yeah, no, you don't, whatever. Put out some babies, get in the kitchen, like what, all that jazz. Like, I can't imagine being in a relationship with someone like that. Technically speaking, I'm the one in my relationship who would have that role. And like, never in a million years would I ever think about like, controlling or assuming or,
Hmm.
whatever, like Katie's bodily autonomy. Like, that sounds horrendous to me.
It sounds like a good way for me to, end up, in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. For real. But yeah, I can't imagine doing it. But they're out there doing it every day of their lives. It's just wild to me,
Well, don't worry. Things are just going to get wilder.
right? And by wilder, you mean worse. And I would be lying if I said that sometimes like I didn't wish that I could like, make her do stuff. Like sometimes it would be nice to be like, Stop it. Just do what I say." Because I think that's human nature to like just want to be able to be in control of
Hmm.
situations or have people like do what you want because it's easier that way. But that's not respectful or kind and doesn't really get you anywhere in the long run. So yeah, it's just awful. Deranged, awful shit is how it all feels to me. I try to be careful with use of the word like deranged too. Partly because like that word, words like that mean something a little more like from me as a professional, I think. But it is like it does feel like deranged is the correct word to use. Like devaluing another human being, regardless of the reason, that much is deranged. It's awful. But, they don't care whether it's for, their religious beliefs or other kind of like selfish reasons. Like that's what they're about. So it's wild. And again, well, for something else, like it doesn't change it, but like I've seen a whole bunch of, and also like I don't know how much of this I believe. Is it like are they cherry picking the one or two instances where this is happening, or is it a ton of people? But regardless, like it's still hilarious to me the people who are like, wait, what? These are the people that he's picking for his cabinet, or like this is
Hmm.
what's being said still now that he's elected. Like I thought that was just like to own the libs or to control the media narrative. Like that's what he's really gonna do. It's like, yeah,
Well,
yep,
remember, tells it like it is.
right.
It, that, that's that's the double thing that just drives me absolutely insane. And this is coming from a deep red state. I have coworkers that either have benefited or are currently benefiting from some form of socialism see, government programs,
Right.
and they talk terribly about Harris because they were convinced that she was going to essentially cut their benefits and give them to the illegals. It's just then completely ignore the fact that the GOP wants to, pretty much cut all those benefits for everyone.
Yep. I've seen a few reports talking about like, the Medicare cuts that certain politicians
Mhm.
are throwing around, and people are being like, "Wait, what?" It's like, yeah, what did you expect? They've been talking about and trying to do this for years, but it's like, they don't pay attention. Like we had this conversation last week or 2 weeks ago, maybe, whether it's like the quote unquote average American voter, like doesn't hear anything or pay attention to anything at all related to politics until like 1 or 2 weeks before the presidential election every 4 years. And then they just check out the rest of the time and blame whoever for all the problems that they experience at all times. I can't, and that's another thing I can't fathom. I can't fathom being that uninformed. Like, I don't expect somebody to pay as much attention as I do. I think I like have a little bit of my own sort of like issue with how much I pay attention to this stuff. Like, I think it does more harm than good for me to be as sort of on it as I am, but to not pay attention at all is wild to me. And like, I know they do it. Like, of course they do, as evidenced by, again, what we're dealing with. But it still feels wild to me to think about.
Mhm.
Bit my tongue. Ah,
I bite my tongue every day around here. Oh, you mean actually?
yeah, that was good. That was a good pun. Good joke. If my tongue wasn't hurting so bad, I'd probably laugh a little bit. I have like some graham crackers sitting here that I was munching on, and I bit my tongue.
Because those are so tongue-like.
Ah, I'm in pain. Be nice to me. Ugh. So, yeah.
Can't tell me what to do, bitch.
Ooh, talk dirty to me, daddy.
Uh, okay, that one's kind of been soured on me because I've read boomers being fools.
What's been soured on you?
Uh, some of the boomers are now referring to Trump as daddy coming home.
Oh, because that thing that Tucker Carlson said?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that fucking bozo. That was some of the
Maybe he'll be chair of the FCC.
yeah, that was some more deranged stuff. Daddy's home.
Mm-hmm.
I've like never like this may be TMI, but like fuck it. When has that ever stopped me before?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, my surgery it stopped me, but not this. I've always felt weird about like you know using the phrase like daddy in like a seriously sexual tone. I think it's fine to be like, kind of silly with it, but I don't like that doesn't turn me on. It makes me feel weird. Like I'm not into that. Say it's something else I'm not into. And it doesn't matter if you say it in a different language either. Like, I poppy.
Mm-hmm.
Hi poppy. Like it's funny if I'm like being, silly with it, but like seriously, you know, if we're doing it, I'm not throwing that out there.